Hey, family, thank you so much for joining me. So, I wanted to talk with you tonight about several things. One of the most important things that I want to talk to you about is time as an illusion. And so, I was checking out a video um, it was a TED Talk, and a scientist, a physicist, was talking about um, time, and he was saying something to the effect that time is an illusion. Um, and so I am trying to think of his name. I think it's Carlo Rovelli, but I don't want to be wrong. But he's written a book about um, time. He might have written several books, but the one book that I remember seeing, The Order of Time, is that's the book that I've seen most recently, and it looks like it came out in 2017, and then I see that he's also written other works, and so um, it's an Italian theoretical physicist and writer, from what I've seen. Um, and so I don't want to get too far off track, but I just wanted to give him his flowers as well as a prolific writer, physicist. And what I wanted to talk about, one of the things I wanted to talk about was um, time is an illusion. So I read recently the Great Billy Carson's book, the Compendium of the Emerald Tablets, excuse me. And what I was thinking about, what stuck out to me the most was this um, the information on the tablets. I think it's tablet 10 that talks about time the most. And I remember just going back in history a little bit that I was listening to a young lady by the name of Veronica Gray. And Veronica is known very well, I think, in a lot of circles for looking into immortality. And she's given, some tips and suggestions on things that we could do to basically go back in time to be younger again. So, for example, she's talked about making right turns instead of left turns as much as possible, using the non dominant side of our bodies. Um, a lot of things she's talked about. Um, and so, when I was reading the Compendium of the Emerald Tablets recently, it got me thinking that um, it got me thinking about time itself. And if anyone has seen information about the double slit experiment, then you've heard what they say that um, so-called reality is an illusion, and that it doesn't exist unless and until it's measured. So this, for me, just going back into my own history of talking about these different topics, this meant to me um, pretty much we can create whatever we want in this so-called reality. And it's just a matter of time before it catches up and we get it. And so then, Abraham Hicks talks about the vortex. And I think lately the way that Abraham Hicks and others have talked about the vortex has changed. But let me just give you my beliefs about the vortex, and then we could go from there. So, my belief about the vortex is that the vortex is something, um, it's that place where all those things that we ask for come together. So it's like a huge gift box, if you can imagine it. And all those things that we've asked for in the gift box, and they're waiting for us to be open, to receive them, and they can flow to us. So that's my definition of the vortex. And also, um, part of it can be, there are different characteristics, I would say. Part of it can also be that there are infinite possibilities. So anything is possible in the vortex. And we can also think of it like the zone, where if we slip into it, then anything is possible. So for example, maybe one of the easiest ways to think about it would be um, the being on the basketball court, being an athlete, and someone like Michael Jordan or Kobe Bryant or Allen Iverson, slipping into a zone and just, Steph Curry, any shot will drop. Kevin Garnett, KG, any shot will drop. Anything will go. Anything. Giannis Antetokounmpo, anything will drop. Any basket will go in. Anything that they do, they could do no wrong when they're in the zone. It's like that. So coming back now to, for me, thinking about time as an illusion. So if I think of it the same way that I think about, or a similar way that I think to the way that I think about the double slit experiment, and talking about quantum physics, when it wasn't being measured or recorded, then these particles went through two slits that look like the number 11 in a piece of paper, and they looked like a wave when they came out on the other side, on the wall or on the piece of paper. And when someone started recording, measuring, then they looked like particles. Um, and from that, I mean, not just from that, but it's sort of like, for me, I'll think up a theory or a hypothesis, and then I'll look for evidence, or that someone else has said something similar, thought something similar, has written something similar. There's a video out there that's um, echoing my sentiments. So in this case with quantum physics, it was like that I was thinking, I wonder if it's, if someone else has said this, or they thought this or wrote this, could it be that they believe that we influence this reality? Everything about this reality, in fact, is what I think. And so I'm gonna get away from that a little bit and just speak from, my mind, from my heart as well. So just going back, so the placebo effect was one of the first things that I was looking into, and that probably was, and I was looking into it more closely. So around 2008, I would say I started looking more into the placebo effect. And I started thinking, if the placebo effect happens, that means that our faith influences reality, which means I mean, looking at the numbers with the placebo effect, then we can see that the numbers are just as good as a person. So if we're talking about an experiment, there could be a placebo. There's the different treatments. So let's say a person took an aspirin, and then a person took um, I don't know, some other type of medicine for pain. Let's say they took um, morphine and then the placebo, but they don't know which group they're in. So if they took aspirin, they took something, but it wasn't morphine. And then they took morphine, then they took, you know, just basically salt water, and the person believed that they're going to get better, the pain was going to subside, whatever. And so they actually end up um, getting better in the placebo condition simply because they believed that they got some medication and it got better. The pain got better, it subsided. Um, and so when we talk about the placebo effect, we can say that using the power of our minds, our beliefs, our faith, our knowing, our expectations, beliefs, all those things, that we could change reality. So that's one example, the double slit experiment. A lot of people have heard about that. That's one example. And so another example would be there's an experiment, and um, in one situation, people were not doing anything. Another situation, people were actually curling dumbbells on their biceps. And in another situation, people were just visualizing, um, so using their imagination. And what happened was, when they were doing nothing, nothing really happened. But pretty much, even with the visualization, um, it was, I think, a 30% increase in muscle mass just with visualizing. So we know the power of visualization. We know the power of the placebo, and I think it's something that people downplay. They don't want to talk about it because, as I'm talking about with quantum physics, all bets to me are off when we see the placebo effect, because then what we're looking at is the effects of someone's faith, their belief, their knowing, their expectations, their mind to change the outcome of things. So, that being said, I think that time is very similar to that, because when we think about it, if we have two clocks in the same room, and this is some of the stuff that Carlo Rovelli was talking about, if we have two clocks in the same room, they measure time different, and those two clocks can be, you know, pretty much the same type of clock, and they measure time differently still. And so the question begs, what's the difference? And to me, a huge part of the difference can be explained by the observer. If the person is, having a great time, time might fly. If the person is not having a great time, time could drag. If they're moving, time could go faster. If they're not moving, time could go slower. If they, and this to me can be um, called an illusion, because, and I'll just give a brief definition for me of an illusion. Illusion is this person's belief about something. And in this case, we're talking about the nature of time. And for me, then, what I think is that time changes depending on the way that it moves, the way that it flows. Some might say the way that it goes on, um, but it's different depending on the observer. And I'm saying that this is similar to what people talked about, the double slit experiment, this reality basically. If if that's the case, if it changes based on the observer, the person who's looking, then to me that means that it's not really um, static. Things change, they move. When it comes to time, it isn't um, maybe what some people would say is that hard when it comes to science. It's not really, basically, to me, immutable. An immutable law, if we can call time a law, time, space, time, if we could call it a law, to me, it's not immutable. And, in my own experiences, and I'll try not to make this too long. And if I do, I can break it up. But um, what I'm saying is it's important to consider that time, at least to my mind right now, I think it is an illusion, and it's what a person makes of it. So I want to continue with this topic, but I want to stop this video and I will just start a new one and continue talking about time as an illusion. So thanks for joining me in this one. I will be back with you and I'll talk with you more about time as an illusion, in my opinion. All right, thank you, family. Hope to bring you some more great and helpful videos soon. All right, bye for now.